Hello, I'm Carol Darlington, and I'd like to start today by talking about what is employee engagement. I think we know what employee engagement is not, so we're not even going to review that. We're just going to take a look at what is employee engagement as far as its commitment to the organization and its goals. First of all, it's working on behalf of the organization. Not working for a paycheck, not working for, that raise or that time off that I'm going to get, but it's actually working for the organization. It's a strong belief that I should be using my discretionary efforts and I should be working like no one is watching. We've all heard the term dance as if no one was watching. And I think we know what that means. It means just letting go, doing what you want to do, fulfilling that need. But working like no one is watching is the same. No one should be watching. There shouldn't be a supervisor having to stand over your shoulder. There shouldn't be a timeline commitment for everything that we do. So work as if no one were watching. And the last is leading to better business outcomes. When we have engaged employees, we will receive better business outcomes. There will be an increase in our rate of investment, our return on investment. There will be an increase in productivity, in those kinds of things that are important to a business to make them move ahead and be productive and be competitive in the workforce. So what are the benefits of engaged employees? According to Kevin Cruz, in a 2012 article entitled, "What is Employee Engagement?" which appeared in the Forbes magazine, he states that engaged employees lead to higher service, quality, and productivity, which in turn then will lead to higher customer satisfaction, which again leads to increased in sales, which would really mean repeat business, maybe some referrals, those kinds of things, which then leads to higher level of profits. So it's sort of that continuing down step after step, moving towards the ultimate goal, which is to be a competitive business and to be able to thrive, grow, and establish themselves and move forward in the world of work today. We're going to spend the remainder of our training today taking a look at an article that was put together by Kenneth Thomas in 2009, and it appeared in the Ivy Business Journal. It's entitled, "The 4 Intrinsic Rewards That Drive Employee Engagement." It starts by saying, motivational dynamics have changed dramatically to reflect new work requirements and changed worker expectations. One of the biggest changes has been the rise in importance of psychic or intrinsic rewards and the decline of material or extrinsic rewards. So let's take a look at that. What does that mean? What is the difference between intrinsic, extrinsic, and how do those motivational rewards make a difference in our employees today? So first, we want to take a look at extrinsic. Extrinsic are those things that are coming from the outside. They're driven by others. Probably extrinsic is the easiest to understand as well. Extrinsic are those things that I get a paycheck because I work 40 hours. That's a reward. That's a motivator coming from the external environment. A bonus. I've done well. I've worked here for X number of years. I get a bonus. Again, it's a reward, external, coming in from the outside. Benefits. Maybe my benefits are if I do a good job, I go home early. Maybe my benefits are that after I've been here X number of days, I receive actual benefits such as health care. Benefits can be in a number of things. They can be gift cards, they can be kickbacks from external organizations because they like us, or because the seller comes from the paper company and we buy paper from him and we get a kickback. Those are bonuses. Those are gifts. Those are things that are motivators to return to that company, to do business with that company again. And of course, recognition. I think recognition is pretty easy to understand. For most people, recognition is very positive. Recognition is something that we like to get. It's the pat on the back, it's the kudos, it's the job well done, it's the handwritten note from the president of the organization, the CEO, saying, you did a good job. Those are the kinds of things that tend to motivate us from the outside. Next, we want to look at intrinsic, and I think intrinsic might be a little bit more difficult for some people to understand. It's not something that we can grab a hold of. It's not something that's real tangible that we can look at and touch and feel physically. Intrinsic is that psychological, that feeling of accomplishment, those internal rewards that we get. I do my job well, I finish it on time, I have great job satisfaction. I do my job well, I feel valued, I feel that I'm an effective employee. The self-worth tends to increase, at least for a period of time, but we tend to feel better about ourselves. Those are intrinsic rewards. Those are intrinsic motivators that are not driven from what we had talked about with the extrinsic, but they're us doing a job well and feeling that accomplishment. So we've talked about the emotional commitment to an organization. We've talked about what are the benefits, the higher service, the customer satisfaction, the increase in sales, the benefits of the engaged employee. And lastly, we just took a brief look at the two different types of motivational factors, the extrinsic, that one that is motivated by external, and the intrinsic. So having gone through that and reviewed all that, where do we go from here? What do we do next? How do we take that next step? And that's what we want to look at now. So moving on with Thomas's theory, there are 4 key components that a worker needs to feel to be engaged in a project or engaged in their work. The first one is a sense of meaningfulness. So they're asking themselves, do I feel that this is an important task that I'm doing? Do I feel that I'm a path that's worth my time, my energy? Is it helping the organization moving towards their goal? They need that feeling of meaningfulness. Second is a sense of choice. Do I have a choice on how I want to handle this task? Am I walking with blinders on, having to do the same thing over and over, following the routine that was done before me? Or do I have the opportunities to explore and to move out and to take that project and really develop that project, but do it through the means that I want to use and do it through? Feeling that ownership of their own work. Third is a sense of competence. Do I feel like I'm performing my activities, meeting, even exceeding what's being asked of me? And what's my personal standard? Am I meeting my own personal standard? Am I exceeding my own personal standard? Am I doing well? Am I doing quality work? Do I feel a sense of satisfaction, pride? on how I'm handling these activities. And the fourth is a sense of progress. Do I feel encouraged? Do I feel encouraged that my efforts are really accomplishing something? Do I feel that my work is on track, that it's moving forward, that I can see that I'm progressing towards the goal? Are the tasks that I'm doing, the job that I'm completing, helping to build my confidence for future projects? Those are 4 key areas that Thomas feels workers view and how they view themselves, and how that leads to their engagement. So now we want to take a look at what managers can do to foster a high engagement culture that leads to intrinsic motivation. The first is to define a meaningful purpose of the organization. Building intrinsic motivation is largely a management responsibility. It's not HR. We can get help from HR, but it's really a management responsibility. You need to spell out what that meaningful purpose is to the organization and how that then moves down to the individual employee. Second is to develop management training that supports intrinsic motivation and engagement. That includes coaching. That includes looking at the culture. And remember, this is to build the culture. It starts with first learning how to better understand and manage yourself, your own intrinsic rewards. And remember that, again, this is a culture. We are embedding intrinsic motivation and engagement into our organization. 3, focus the conversations, the choices, the competence, and the progress. Focus those on doing well. What are those day-to-day messages that we're sending out to people? Are we sending out messages that we're doing well? You're doing well, you're working well? Are we asking the 4 basic questions? What can we do that's meaningful? What creative choices can we think of to accomplish this task? How can we make sure that we're doing this work competently? How can we make sure that we're actually accomplishing the purpose? Those are good questions that we should be asking ourselves as managers, but that we should also be embedding and ingraining into our employees. And don't forget to engage the middle. Pay special attention to that middle range, that large group of people that tend not to be very engaged sometimes. We need to look at getting their intrinsic reward feelings moved to a higher level. Number 5, measure the intrinsic reward levels. So periodically we need to do a check. Periodically we need to find out what is the state of intrinsic rewards. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can be just daily conversation, daily talking with employees, coworkers, finding out through just daily conversations how they're feeling. What's that rough sense of what's going on and how they're feeling about the organization, about themselves, about their work. And last but definitely not least is to provide the missing building blocks. We need to look at those building blocks. They're all very unique, but we need to look at the actions that are involved in those sense of meaningfulness, the sense of choice, the sense of competence, and the sense of progress. I know I've given you a lot of information today. I hope that you feel this has been a good training session. Again, it's just the start. It's just the beginning. But we have to take that first step. And if we take it as a group of managers, if we take it as a group that care about the organization, it's going to be a step in the right direction. It's time. We have some tools. We will continue to develop those tools, but it's time to take that step. Thanks for training with me today. I hope you found it enjoyable, and I hope that we can apply it in the near future. Have a good day.